What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. Today is part 3 of our Overwatch Complete Beginner's Guide, specifically focusing on healers this time around. We're going to be doing things differently in this video. So in my very first Overwatch Beginner's Guide, I kind of played through the game and showed some of the basics while actually playing. And then in the second video, focusing on tanks, I put up some gameplay highlights in the background that I wanted you guys to see, and I did some commentary over that. For this video, what I'm going to do is throw up some really solid healing gameplay in the background that I want you guys to focus on. And while that's playing in the background, I'm going to go over some really key important details that's going to make you be the best healer you can possibly be in all of Overwatch. And remember, this is an extension of the last two videos, so at the very least, if you haven't seen the very first one that covers all the basics for the game, if you're a brand new player and you've never played Overwatch before and you're watching this, I would highly recommend going and checking that video out, as well as the next video. Obviously, tank is a completely separate category than healers, but there's still some main things that we focus on in that video that apply to this video, so I really feel like you should watch them in order. Alright, now that that's out of the way, let's get into the very first thing that you should always be trying to do as a healer, which is staying alive. Obviously, this is what you want to try and do as all characters in the game, but there are specific situations as other roles in Overwatch where you might want to sacrifice yourself. That's pretty much never the case as a healer, because if you sacrifice yourself, that's pretty much just letting other players die. Keeping you alive and having everyone else try and keep you alive and you keeping yourself alive is the most important thing you can possibly do as a healer in Overwatch. I have consistently and constantly talked about situational awareness in my other guide videos, and the same goes for this one. I'm not going to stick on it for too long, but really, as a healer and all characters in Overwatch, you need to have situational awareness, more so as the tank, but I'd say second to the tank is healers, because you need to understand who needs healing and when they need healing and where to place yourself in the game. If you don't know where to be at all times in an Overwatch match, you're gonna get demolished. As a healer, you have to figure out, based off of where the placement of the enemy team is and where the placement of your own team is, where to position yourself so that you can get the most value out of your playtime. But once you've got the placement of where to be based on the enemy team and your own team, and you've got situational awareness all wrapped up and you're really good with that, you're probably going to want to move on to who to heal and how to heal them properly. Who to heal and when to heal them is a very tricky one, and it really is based off of the gameplay that you're seeing in front of you. When trying to figure out who you should heal, you should always have the number one key thing as a healer in mind, which is staying alive. You want to stay alive. So if there's someone that needs healing, but they put themselves in a bad position, and if you go and heal them, it separates you from the team and it's going to cause you to die as well, you really want to avoid that. It's really okay to let that teammate die if it means keeping the rest of your team alive. It's super important to acknowledge that and be aware of that whenever you're playing a match as a healer. Who you should be healing also really depends on who you are as a healer. That will determine your reach and your capabilities. So if you're playing Ana and you can snipe someone from across the map and keep them alive, or if you're Baptiste and you can't quite hit them from that far, it's going to change up your playstyle and change up exactly who you're going to be able to heal and who technically needs healing in that moment of time. And that's really just the fun of Overwatch. If you haven't played Overwatch before and you don't really know all about the healers, I highly suggest just jumping in and trying out different healers. You're going to get the playstyle down from playing the game. There is nothing that I can say right now in this video that's going to teach you physically from playing that hero better than you just playing that hero over time and gathering information for yourself. These really are just the key details to keep in mind when you're trying out different healers. Now let's talk about something that I don't believe I've ever covered in any of my previous guide videos, which really is super important when it comes to playing a healer, and that is communication with your team. Of course, communicating with your team is really important for all of Overwatch and all roles of Overwatch, but healer specifically. This might be able to stop players from running off and getting themselves killed and making it a problem for you to determine whether you should leave your team or go help them and possibly end up dying. So remember, if you're playing competitive Overwatch, you should probably have a mic in and you should probably be talking. If you don't want to talk, you should at least have the volume on so that you can hear the other people's callouts though. Okay, so let's move on to the final important keynote of this, which is team composition. You really need to look and see what your teammates are choosing to determine who you should be choosing as a healer. You can be stubborn and you can only play one or two characters, But if you want to be the best healer that you can be, you're going to want to be flexible and you're going to want to play 90% of the characters available to you on the healing side. You really do have a better chance of winning a competitive match if your teammates are playing specific characters and you decide to pick a specific character to help the entire team out because you think that it'll work better. And when it comes to team composition, it really just depends on the meta, and when you're watching this video and when you're trying different things out, I really suggest that you just try different healers, and over time you're really going to know who to choose depending on who your team chooses just from playing the game. Okay, so with all the information we just went over in the other 2 guide videos, that equals over 40 minutes of information on what you should be doing when you're first playing Overwatch. I will be working on the 4th and final video focusing on damage characters, but for now I really feel like everyone that's watching this video, if you haven't watched those last 2 guides, you should really go check them out because as a whole and as a collective, you have all the information that you need to really jump into Overwatch and do better. But hey, I want to know what you guys think, so put your comments and questions down below. I really mean it, blow me up. I'd love to answer your guys' questions, so anything you're wondering, go ahead and put them down there. But that's it for this video, everyone. Thank you guys so much. I'll catch you on the next one. Flash out.